Here we back. Quick video. Gonna be giving my thoughts on the meeting between Donald Trump and the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, as you already know, we are living in very interesting times, right? We are living under a right-wing conservative regime that is anti-immigration unless the immigrants are white European descendants, of course. And to be honest, the nation has always functioned that way, right? The nation has always opened doors to British immigrants, German immigrants, Irish immigrants, etc., etc. Donald Trump himself is a descendant of German immigrants. Elon Musk, his right-hand man, is an immigrant booty scratcher from South Africa. And today, the reason why you saw the meeting that took place today, in my opinion, that was because Elon Musk, due to the fact that he was one of the biggest financial backers and supporters of the Donald Trump campaign. So, of course, once you get into power, you have to return the favor to your financial backers. So that's what I kind of seen this as. Donald Trump doing the bidding of one of his supporters, Elon Musk. Now, when it comes to Elon Musk for the longest time has had a bone to pick with certain black men in South Africa, like Julius Malema and the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. According to Elon Musk, his ethnic group is under persecution, right? They are a minority group under persecution. They are suffering. They are being genocided. They are being wiped out. And because of this, he has used his influence with the president to open doors for the white South African refugees that want to come to the United States, right? Not the black South Africans. You stay over there. They only want the white ones. Now, of course, I've already made videos talking to the family down in South Africa. I already told you how the white South Africans get down. They don't subscribe to the tribalism y'all get into, right? When you see the white men in this room, you saw white men from a variety of ethnic groups, right? You saw Donald Trump, German descendant. You saw Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Norwegian descendant. You saw Elon Musk, British, Canadian, wherever he came from, descendant, right? Men from a variety of different backgrounds, all coming together for their common interests. We want to protect our white folks. Now, of course, they'll encourage you to infight amongst each other, right? They'll encourage you, the black South African, go beef with the Nigerian, go beef with the Mozambican. But when it comes to them, listen, we are family, right? Now, of course, I'm a black man with a decolonized mind, so I've graduated to a higher level of existence. So I don't get involved with the little tribal battles, right? Because when it comes to the adversary, you see how quick they join forces. Now, Donald Trump had this meeting with the president of South Africa, right? And Donald Trump confronted him about the allegations that, of course, Elon Musk told him about. Elon Musk told him, listen, they're over there killing my people. So Donald Trump sat down with the president of South Africa and he confronted him on those claims, right? And I'm going to jump into the clips and I'm going to come back with my commentary. Let's go.
We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here? Somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and I have to. It has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down.
The farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer, bah, bah. Kill the brewer, the farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer, bah, bah.
White South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. White South African couples say that they were attacked violently. And look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. Death of people. Death. 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 Horrible death. Death. You can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you.
All right, we back. Now, I'll be honest. I've been seeing a lot of mixed reactions to how the president of South Africa conducted himself. I've seen some people say that he conducted himself well. He stayed calm, cool, collected, as a head of state. There were other people like myself who thought that he could have done more to debunk the propaganda and debunk the false claims. Because when it comes to me, you cannot allow propaganda to spread. That's actually one of the main reasons why my channel has grown as fast as it's grown. Because one of the main things I do is I debunk and I deconstruct propaganda, right? And when it comes to our adversaries, when it comes to our enemies, they are, I'm not going to say masters of propaganda, but they are connoisseurs of propaganda. They enjoy putting out propaganda. They enjoy putting out lies. Their entire history and their entire identity is built on a foundation of lies. So you have to attack the propaganda head on. You cannot allow it to fester. You cannot allow a narrative such as the white South Africans are being genocided by the blacks when just some months ago, less than a year ago, just last year, you had a story in the headline of a South African farmer who killed 2 black women and fed their dead bodies to the pigs, right? You cannot allow these individuals, these men to play victim who are feeding the bodies of your women to pigs, bro. You can't sit there and smile in your face and just act like it's all good, bro. You got to attack the propaganda. You got to deconstruct the propaganda. But of course, you got to be an articulate black man, an intelligent black man to be able to deconstruct the propaganda when it gets thrown in your face. And to be honest, I just don't feel like the president of South Africa did enough. There was so many angles he could have took it at, right? But currently right now, we are living in a climate where white men are trying to assume the role of victim, right? We saw it with the Carmelo Anthony situation. Oh my God, the blacks we're under attack by the blacks, right? We see it going around. This is the narrative that is being spread all over social media, especially on Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk. All you see is white men playing victim. All you see is white men crying. All you see is white men acting like a bunch of babies. All you see is white men acting like they're under persecution. This is the climate that we are under, right? They got something going around, oh, black fatigue, right? Black fatigue, listen, that is just white victimhood, man. White men are trying to assume the status of victim, the status of damsel in distress. That is the climate that we are in, right? Oh, reverse racism. Oh, they hate us because we're white. You know, this is the climate, right? This is the propaganda. This is the age we are living in. And Elon Musk is using his influence to push that out into the atmosphere. And when it comes to me, I feel like this was an excellent opportunity for the president of South Africa to debunk all those claims on the world stage, right? He didn't have to go up there and act the fool. He didn't have to go up there and get loud and get belligerent. There's a way you could go about it. There's a way you can deconstruct and debunk propaganda in an elegant, concise, calm, collected way, in an intelligent manner, and to where it's non-refutable, right? But unfortunately, I think that the president of South Africa, he was caught off guard. I think he didn't really expect that, right? They say that he went over there to talk, economics and talk business. So he probably wasn't really expecting to talk about that. But even still, I feel like as a head of state, you should have the capacity to, even if you get thrown off guard, you should have the mental capacity to debunk the propaganda on the fly, right? And I just feel like the president of South Africa, he might have just been caught off guard, man. He might have just been caught off guard. And, as a black man, you cannot let propaganda like that slide. And when it comes to me, my people, we are a victim of that propaganda. For example, when you take the Haitian Revolution, do you know that white men have taken the narrative of the Haitian Revolution and they've twisted it and said that, oh, the blacks genocided us. The blacks genocided the French, the innocent French women and children. They were genocided by the blacks. That is the narrative that is put out in the Western narrative of the Haitian Revolution, right? They're not going to talk about all the innocent women and children they killed during the colonial period. They're not going to talk about how they would make a black woman work in the field while she was 8-9 months pregnant and whip her to death sometimes while she was pregnant. They're not going to talk about how they would bury you alive in the sugar cane. They're not going to talk about how they would stuff children in barrels studded with spikes and then roll it down the mountain. They're not going to talk about all the crimes they committed, but they want to twist the narrative and say that we are the victims of the Haitian Revolution. The blacks genocided our innocent women and children, right? They really twisted the narrative of the Haitian Revolution inside out to where they are actually the victims, right? So when I see the president of South Africa allow his history, the history of his people, to get twisted and turned and make it seem like he is the aggressor, his people are the aggressors and the genocidaires, and the white South Africans, they're the innocent victims and they're the damsels in distress that are under persecution, and you didn't just debunk the propaganda right there in front of the cameras, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed, right? There's a time to be calm and collected and cool, and there's a time to approach the enemy head on and debunk the propaganda. That's the only reason I made my YouTube channel, to debunk propaganda. And you got to be careful, because if you're not careful, they're going to do the same thing to you that they did to me. The same way they took the narrative of the Haitian Revolution and made themselves out to be the victims and made us out to be the barbarian and the savage, they're going to do the same thing to you. And in 100 years, 200 years from now, they're going to be saying that it was actually the black South Africans that were the aggressors. It was the black South Africans that were the barbarians and the savages. And it was the white South Africans that were the innocent victims that were suffering persecution. That's what they're going to say. And so many of y'all have bought into the rainbow, the rainbow nation propaganda that you're going to let it slide. You're going to let it slide, and they're going to put it into the history books that you were genociding the whites. And this was all because you didn't debunk the propaganda, right when you had the chance to debunk the propaganda. Now, here's the thing. You could debunk the propaganda, and guess what? They're still going to promote their version of the story, because my ancestors wrote books, they published pamphlets, they left a bunch of literature behind. But guess what? None of it is acknowledged in the Western narrative, right? They don't acknowledge those books. They only acknowledge the books written by the European authors. So the reality is you could debunk the propaganda, and they're still going to promote their version of the story. They're going to promote their lie over your truth. That's the reality. But you still got to debunk the propaganda regardless. Even if they're going to promote the lie, you still have to debunk the propaganda. You cannot let it slide. And to be honest, yes, the president of South Africa, fine. He conducted himself calm, cool, collected under pressure, of course. But I feel like he did not do enough. He did not stand on business enough when it came to the lies and the slander. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. This brother said, the Boers genocided the San people, violently dispossessed blacks of their land and their property, enforced a brutal racial caste system for 50 years, waged race wars against 5 African countries, but the victims of their crimes can never express a desire for revenge. Exactly, right? That's what happens when you allow them to rewrite the history. They're going to demonize you because you desire revenge, right? Because you desire to avenge the memory of your forefathers and your foremothers. There is nothing wrong with that. Don't feel guilty for that. Listen, brothers, do not allow them to make you feel guilty because you want to avenge the memory of your foremothers and your forefathers. And when I say avenge the memory, it doesn't have to be violent. For example, when I do my videos on Haitian history and I debunk the fake Western narratives, and I come with the real narrative, and I come with the documents that was written by the ancestors, that is a form of avenging their memory, right? So avenging their memory doesn't necessarily mean bloodshed, though it can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But don't ever feel guilty because of that. You have a right to be angry for what happened to your predecessors. You have a right to feel vengeful for what happened to your predecessors, because what happened to your predecessors, it wasn't right. It was wrong. And you have a right. You have a right to feel the way you feel, because guess what? They're not resting in peace. I'm sorry to tell you, your ancestors are not resting in peace. They're not at peace because you have not avenged their memory. You see, when it comes to them and their enemies, they don't show no mercy, right? When it comes to Russia, they setting up military bases, they conducting surveillance, they keeping an eye on their enemies, right? They're keeping their enemies in check, right? So don't let them gaslight you or guilt trip you, because you may feel a similar way against your enemies as well, whoever they may be. And let me tell you this, when somebody lies about you, when somebody spreads slander and defames your character, that person is letting you know, I'm your enemy. These individuals have wrote books saying that we are not human beings, justifying enslavement and human trafficking, lying about our history, coming up with false fabrications and whole false narratives about who we are, and then spreading it around the world, disseminating it around the world, and then passing it off as facts, right? That is the behavior of an enemy, right? So don't feel guilty for looking at certain individuals as your enemy, because long before you were born, they've already declared themselves to be your enemy before you even got here. So don't feel guilty about it. Now let's continue. This person said, while black South Africans are often urged to move on and focus on the future or stop living in the past, white South Africans, particularly within the Afrikaner establishment, continue to carry, revere, and even celebrate their past, right? Exactly, right? They're going to tell you, forget about the past. Don't worry about your ancestors. Don't worry about them. Forget about them. Who cares about them? But when it comes to them, they showing love to their ancestors. Yeah, they venerating their ancestors. They paying homage to their ancestors. But when it comes to you, they're telling you, forget about them. Don't worry about them. Who cares about them? Right? So, like I said, man, don't fall victim to the propaganda. Don't fall victim to the traps of the enemy. And when the enemy lies on you, make sure you debunk the enemy every chance you get. That's what I do. That's why I'm on this microphone. Every time I get on this microphone, I debunk the enemy. That's the reason why many of y'all follow me, because I debunk the enemy. I approach the enemy head on and I debunk his false narratives. Now, when it comes to Julius Malema and that song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, right? And Elon Musk was in his feelings about that. But when these rappers going around talking about, oh, I shoot up the block and I shoot up my ops and I killed that dude and I shot that dude, How come nobody's up in arms when y'all talking about killing another black man, right? When y'all when y'all make songs about killing other black men, how come everybody dancing? How come everybody shaking their booties, right? But when it's somebody else, all of a sudden we clutching our pearls. Oh my God, I can't believe he said that. What's the difference between Julius Malema saying, kill the boar, kill the farmer, and one of these rappers saying, oh, I ride on my ops and I drop them with the Glock? What's the difference? It's the same thing. But when the black man dying in the music, y'all shaking y'all booties, right? Y'all dancing, y'all popping bottles. But when it's somebody else, we got to call Donald Trump. Nah, get out of here, bro. Elon Musk, you a goofy. And when it comes to our culture, African culture, black culture, whatever you want to call it, historically, our ancestors have always had these songs, these battle songs, these chants. And a lot of the times the lyrics was about vanquishing the enemy, marching on the enemy, defeating the enemy, neutralizing the enemy. We've been doing that for centuries, right? So why is it such a big deal now? Why is it? You don't think when Shaka Zulu was going into battle, you don't think he had the war songs? I know for a fact during the Haitian Revolution, we had a whole bunch of war songs. We had a whole bunch of battle songs. So when I see Julius Malema and he chanting, kill the boar, listen, that is simply a battle song. To me, that's the vibe I get. That's a battle song. You don't think Americans have battle songs? You don't think the French have battle songs? I remember one time I read a story. I forget which ethnic group it was, but it was one African ethnic group. They said the women, the lullabies they would sing to the children would be songs about defeating the enemy in battle, right? So these are things that we've done long before we even met the European, before the European even showed up on our shores. We've been having these battle chants and these battle songs. This is simply another version of that, right? So don't feel guilty for having your own battle songs, because they have their own battle songs for their own enemies as well. And for those of y'all that listen to my album, then you already know I don't got any song like, kill the boar, kill the farmer, but I have similar songs kind of in that vein, right? For example,
enemy watching me like an obsession. Heart of a king, I don't need no acceptance. No, they gon' try but can't stop the progression. No, they gon' try but can't stop the ascension. Foot on the gas and I gotta go hard. Straight to the top, I've been down for too long. Plotting revenge, I'ma make them regret it. Ain't no more talking, I got too much leverage. Talking uranium, diamonds and gold. Keep that shit real, I wish death on my foes. Keep that shit real, I ain't blocking my blessings. Stacking my profit and then I invest it.
Now, if you heard those lyrics, I was like, enemy watching me like an obsession. Heart of a king, I don't need no acceptance. I know they gonna try but can't stop the progression. No, they gonna try but can't stop the ascension. Foot on the gas and I gotta go hard. Straight to the top, I've been down for too long. Plotting revenge, I'ma make them regret it. Ain't no more talking, I got too much leverage. Talking uranium, diamonds and gold. Keep that shit real, I wish death on my foes. Keep that shit real, I ain't blocking my blessings. Stacking that profit and then I invest it. Now, listen, if I was talking about another black man, oh man, it would be no problem, right? These guys get on these rap songs and they talk about killing other black men 24 hours a day, right? 7 days a week, right? And nobody bats an eye. Now, on my song, when I said, keep that shit real, I wish death on my foes, I'm talking about the adversary. I'm not talking about my brothers, right? But the average rapper, the typical rapper, when he says that, he's talking about the black man down the block. I'm not talking about the black man down the block, right? But just a disclaimer for the YouTube, listen, we're not calling for no violence. We're not calling for no bloodshed. It's just music. It's just entertainment. It's just a way for me to vent in a healthy way, to express myself in a healthy capacity. That's all we doing, right? We just making some good music and paying tribute to the ancestors at the same time. Now, let's continue.
1804, that's word of my mother. Rise for my women and die for my brother. Never gonna fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up at Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Trying to run up and we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. You ain't retaliate, Franco Medina. Came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, Rafi. Your man, thought you was law, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south, and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Run to the check like I work on my.
Now, on that track, I was like, 1804, and that's word of my mother. Ride for my women and die for my brothers. Never gonna fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine, right? I repeat, Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Now, let's continue.
Prince of my kingdom, I feel like I'm Shaka. Did it myself, I didn't come with no sponsor. Heart getting colder, my soul getting darker. Coming back home on the day of departure. Tell them we back in the city, we back in the building. I came and I saw and I conquered. Enemy came and invaded, they tried to come take it. We took off their heads and we chopped. Took on my brothers and cousins, my mother, my uncles. They stole the identity like it ain't none. They gave us religion, they killed all the rebels. They taking the diamonds and rubies and metals. I might put the blade to their neck like it's bevel. The blood of a king, blood of a warrior. Feel like a prophet, I feel like a laureate. Play with the family, I'm planning memorials.
Now, on that song, I was like, Prince of my kingdom, I feel like I'm Shaka. Did it myself, I didn't come with no sponsor. My heart getting colder, my soul getting darker. Coming back home on the day of departure. Tell them we back in the city, we back in the building. I came and I saw and I conquered. Enemy came and invaded, they tried to come take it. We took off their heads and we chopped it. Took on my brothers and cousins, my mother, my uncles. They stole the identity like it ain't nothing. They gave us religion and killed all the rebels. They taking the diamonds and rubies and metals. I might put the blade to their neck like it's bevel. The blood of a king, blood of a warrior. Feel like a prophet, I feel like a laureate. Play with the family, I'm planning memorials. Now, like I said, when you make songs about, you know, killing the fellow gang member or things like that, nobody has an issue with it. You can sell 1 million records with no problem, right? But when you start talking about avenging the memory of your ancestors, when you start making songs like that, all of a sudden we got to hold presidential meetings. We got to hold council meetings. We got to have a meeting. And by the way, I'm sure you guys heard that shout out that I gave to Shaka Zulu. I was like, Prince of my kingdom, I feel like I'm Shaka. Yeah, shout out to my brothers in South Africa. But yeah, man, like I said, man, Julius Malema, I don't got no issue with Julius Malema with his song. You know, I have no problem with it. I think that that's part of our culture. You know, to me, that's a battle song. That's a battle chant. And we've been doing that for thousands of years. Black men have been making those type of songs about our adversaries for thousands of years. And we're going to keep making them as well. We're not going to stop, right? We're not going to stop. But anyways, to wrap it up, like I said, yes, the president of South Africa, you know, he definitely stayed calm and collected under pressure, but I don't feel like he did enough to debunk the propaganda. Right there was a prime time chance to debunk the propaganda in front of the world, in front of Elon Musk, in front of Donald Trump, in front of the white supremacists that talking about black fatigue. That was the time to debunk the propaganda and make them look foolish and like, listen. Cyril Ramaphosa, if he was a student of history and he knew his history front to back like he was supposed to, that was your time to shine. Because if I was in a room full of Frenchmen and they were spreading a bunch of propaganda and lying, bro, you know I would have held my own. You know I would have stood 10 toes down and I would have embarrassed every single Frenchman in the room. So I was kind of disappointed for Cyril Ramaphosa not standing on the business how he was supposed to, you know. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm not going to be here too long. Like I said, Elon Musk standing up for his white folks. Donald Trump standing up for his white folks. You know, black men, we got to stand up for our black folks. Anyways, it's your boy Neferkari. That's Salim back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.